Hey, what's up? Real quick, for this review you're about to watch, just know I got my dates confused. I thought this movie came out back in February 28th and not on March 28th. So you hear me talk about things like our 300th episode when that was coming out back then and how I needed to record something for that week. Just know that I got my dates confused. Now, I did not like this movie, so I'm not going to re record that review. My points about it in general are still the same, and my feelings are the same. Just wanted to add this disclaimer to clear up any confusion you might have when you hear me talking about dates and things like that. All right. Now, appreciate you guys. I'm out.
It's been a while. Um, and what I just watched might be the worst movie we've seen in theaters since this channel started. All right, so we've been off the air for a little while. We've been working really hard on our 300th episode, as we said in our Captain America review. Um, there's been some setbacks with that. You know, we recorded two videos for it. We were going to drop where Jovi and I go head to head, and the loser. And we play a game. We play games against each other, and the loser has to watch and review something on the winner's trash list. So we're really excited about that. But it's been recorded. It's in the editing process. And our editor, God bless his soul, he faced a major computer issues. So we're working through that. But anyway. We didn't want to keep the channel just stale until that got resolved, so we're gonna start posting again. But I really don't want what I'm about to talk about to be our 300th episode. As I'm thinking about it, I do not want this upload to have the 300th number, because this is really bad. What I just saw. Oh, I might have to do an emergency comic book Wednesday. I will do an emergency comic book Wednesday. But first, let's talk about Working Man. Okay, so when I first saw the synopsis for this, I was reading it and I was like, okay. I saw Jason Statham's face and I was like, okay. Man gets help from family's daughter gets taken, he tries to go save her. And I was like, oh, okay, this sounds shockingly like the movie Beekeeper, where he is a special operative who helps out somebody who had helped him. And it's directed by David Ayer, which I saw, who also was behind Beekeeper. So I was like, oh, so you guys are you're running this back. Is this going to be a yearly thing where you guys just come up with the same, you do the same concept in a different setting or something like that? But as the credits came on, I saw it was produced and co-written by Sylvester Stallone, which made me very apprehensive because even I love his show Tulsa King on Paramount Plus, but his movies recently I've tired of them. And I was justified. This movie is absolute garbage. Now, it's not bad because it has bad dialogue or bad pacing or bad script or bad acting. It's bad because it has all of them at once. I've never seen a movie like this. And I remember Morbius. I remember Madam Web. I remember Craven and Halloween Ends and Five Nights at Freddy's. Movies that I absolutely just did not like. But there was something in them. At the very least, they looked like movies. As I'm going through this movie, I'm seriously thinking, yo, am I watching a student film from 1983? Because there's just such cringe dialogue and cringe acting that I can't believe a studio actually put their weight behind this movie and released it. So, yeah, I told you the story. Jason Statham is trying to find a girl who was kidnapped from his boss being Michael Pena. And I'm pretty sure Statham and Pena they saw the check and they just were like, I'm just going to do this for the check. They phoned their performances in. I've seen them both act, and this is some of the worst acting I've ever seen from either of them and the entire cast altogether, which leads me to blame David Ayer. I'm pretty sure this is on his shoulders. This is a stinker. So the dialogue, it's so bad. Like the first half hour of this movie, I'm like, why is there so much exposition? There's so much telling and not showing. Like, what is going on here? Like, we actually learn about his past because of just, again, the cringiest dialogue. Michael Pena just all of a sudden says, out of nowhere, I can smell green berets. I know you're one. Can you go help my daughter? Statham says no. Literally, the next scene, he's talking to an old buddy of his who was blinded when a shell exploded in his eyes, because they directly say that, just not in any kind of natural or conversational way. But he's talking to this buddy of his, and Statham is saying, "Yeah, I got to go find this girl." What the heck? Literally, one scene he said, "No, that's not my life." The next scene, he's talking about how he's going to go help her. And that's the problem with this movie. But probably the biggest sin is the editing. But I'll get to that in a minute. Let me continue with the dialogue. It's bad. There's actually a line in this movie where someone says something like, "Yo, are you a cop?" And the response is, "Oh, you're going to wish I was a cop." And he says it just like that. There's so many F-bombs dropped in this movie. Someone needs to tell David Ayer, just cursing does not make a good dialogue. It actually makes you look kind of lazy as a writer. So someone screaming, "Shut the F up," all the time, like they do in this movie, it doesn't make it good, especially when the actor is bad. There's a woman in this movie. I'm not going to bother looking up her name. The F word comes out of her mouth every other sentence. And she is just so over the top that it's like, I have to believe she was told to be this way, but she's really bad at it. Like, someone will say something like, she'll kidnap somebody, and the person will just say something benign like, "Why?" And then she will get up in her face, shove a gun in her face, and just scream, "Shut the F up!" Like, just out of nowhere. There's another scene where, again, just showing how bad the editing is. These dudes drive up in a truck. They get out the truck. They are in front of Jason Statham. He hops on a motorcycle and drives right past him. And while they're both holding their guns, and when he starts driving away, this woman just like starts screaming at the top of her lungs, literally like, "Ah, I can't believe this. Go get him." Like it's legit that bad, man. There's a point in the movie where there's this dude who gets some bad news, and some news he doesn't want to hear over the phone. He hangs up the phone, and I promise you, he literally, with nobody around, just screams, "No!" And it does the slow motion thing. Like, what? I'm seriously sitting there like, yo, what am I watching, man? And then again, the exposition dumps, you would think they would stop after a while, but they just keep happening. This first time, like I don't know if I mentioned it, we find out about how he is this way, because at the beginning he goes and visits a lawyer because he's in a custody battle with his father-in-law, and he's like, "Oh, I used to be this. My father," like as if he's never talked to this lawyer before. He's like, I used to be a soldier. I have PTSD. My father-in-law hates me because of this. Oh, we have this daughter. And it's just like, bruh, you're literally just dumping information on us in a non-organic way. And that's how the movie continues, which in itself would have been bad, but tolerable if there are other aspects that were good, but they're not. This is an action movie that has some of the worst and most boring action you'll ever see. Everything you have seen before and done better. Honestly, I don't know if they have a stunt department in this movie. Like, it looks really bad. Jason Statham does not feel like, a one-man army in this movie. He feels like a regular dude, and it's nothing special. And I think they tried to lean into him being a Black Ops operative, so, he's more into surveillance. But he's really bad at that because he can't surveil good and he keeps getting caught. So what is the point of this? Oh, and did I mention the acting? I know I did, but I'm going to mention it again. The bad guys in this movie are like these Russian gangsters, because I'm sure Stallone and Ayer we still think that Russian gangsters are like the most dangerous thing, whatever. But anyway, they're Russian gangsters, and they are pretty terrible. I actually didn't recognize a lot of them. I'm not sure how many projects they've been in, but when I tell you I've believed in Russian gangsters, I've seen on episodes of NCIS more. And that's a TV show, bro. That's a problem. So it's actually so bad, y'all. Like, I'm trying to tell you, I could have been in this movie. Me. Someone with no training. That's how bad the acting was. That's the standard that was set, that I could have walked on set and read the lines the way these lines were being read. It was horrible, man. Oh, and the editing. The editing is just like the jump cuts in shaky cam in 2025. It's just unforgivable. There's a point in the movie where Jason Statham, he's interrogating somebody, right? and he's like, after he says shut the F up, of course, he's like, get up, we're gonna take a walk. So they're in the dude's place and they're walking to another room. You literally see them mid stride as they walk to a room. Then the scene just cuts and the dude is getting waterboarded. You're like, what was that? What was that? The scene literally just jarred to something else as you were in the middle of emotion. And I know that kind of sounds like I'm nitpicking, but trust me, it's so jarring and it happens so often that you're going to notice it. You're going to be like, bro, who cut this movie? Was it their first time doing it? It just fails on every level, y'all. This movie, it's an F-. It's trash on arrival. It's a 1 out of 5. And honestly, I got to check with Jovi if I don't know if we've ever given a 0. I don't know if we've decided 0 or 1 is our lowest score, but this is a movie you're not going to remember. Honestly, it's a movie they shouldn't want you to remember. Jason Statham probably should have never agreed to this. I mean, I'm sure it was a good check, but this is not something he wants on his resume. Neither does David Ayer. It's really bad, y'all. It's not worth it. But anyway, Working Man is out in theaters this weekend. If you see it, let me know what you think right down there in the comments. Let me know if you agree that it's terrible and you yourself probably could have been in this movie and been one of the stars. Thank you for listening to me rant. Until next time, I'm out.